Yes, I'm ready to go live. Hey, what's going on, babies? Thank you so much for joining us again Wednesday night for Raw Talk Live. It is the relationship show that is by adults, with adults, and for adults. And tonight we're going to talk about the work. They say when you have a broken heart, you need to work on healing it. You got to go to work. Well, what is the work? We'll find out next tonight live on Raw Talk. Hey, what do you know? It's showtime. Hello, girlfriend Peggy, beautiful Nubian queen.
Hello. Hey, girlfriend Leslie Brewington. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing just lovely. Thank you
Good.
Thank you for asking. Well, we got an exciting show tonight. We have some experts in the building with us who are going to help us on this journey we've been talking about when it comes to healing in a relationship. Are you ready?
I am so ready. I've been through the ringer on one, and it was a long process. Yes, getting back to healthy and being healed and ready to move forward with finding love and being in love and all the things that come with it. I'm excited.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. So you said you've been through it once through the ringer one time. How do you feel like you've healed?
I do. It's been some years. It's been some years, but yeah, I do. I feel like I'm totally healed. Like I said, I did the work that I felt was the work. Took a lot of time. It's been, like I said, after that relationship, it was at least about 4 years before I even ventured into getting into another relationship of any seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I did the work, and it's just a small, one day, one step at a time for me. I'm a writer. I've been writing for over 25 years, doing poetry. I've shared tons and tons of my poetry with you before, and you know that I'm one of the most famous unknown poets in the world.
I like that.
Yes. Yeah, but it's time to come from behind the scenes a little bit and stop all the writing and maybe start sharing again and doing some engagements and stuff like that. So yeah, healing is in the writing. It's in different things in prayer, and we're gonna talk about all that good stuff tonight. So
yes,
yeah. But I feel I'm good, but it's always some more to learn.
Yes, there
There's
is.
more to learn.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I like that. I like that very much. There is always something else to learn. We want to say hello to our friends who visit us in the digital building on Wednesday night. Hello, good evening to you, Michelle. Nice to see you always, of course. Thank you for being there. And to my friend, Sean White, who is the greatest romantic ever. He says, we both look amazing. Well, thank you, Sean. Wait till you see the other ladies. Yes, most definitely. We appreciate you all being there. And of course, we invite folks to follow us on Facebook and on YouTube so that you can be a part of the show on Wednesday nights. I was telling everybody before the show, Peggy, about us doing the luncheon, the empowerment luncheon for Jewels on Purpose, and how we're both going to be on the program. So we're looking forward to folks coming out and supporting that.
Absolutely. Yes, that's going to be an exciting night. New beginnings for people. We're going to get a lot of insight onto how to prosper and move forward and get out of a stuck situation to move forward. And it's going to be empowering. It's really going to be empowering.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Hello. Hello, Crystal Clark in the building. She says, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It's always good to see you. So a few weeks ago, we had the pleasure of having a life coach and author, public speaker, Xavia on with us. And she was just a delight. She shared so much valuable information with us. And she said, hey, I really learned all that I know from somebody else who should be on the show. And so welcome back, Xavia Fox.
Hey,
Hello, my love.
hey. How y'all doing tonight?
Hello. Good. How you doing, beautiful?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, I'm so happy to be back on the show. Thanks for having me back on. I have something I want to say up front to preface our visit here tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so you mentioned another life coach that got caught up in some drama a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Would like to distinguish, because I really hate being called a life coach because of this exact reason. There are life coaches who are certified and study. We are trained to help you heal. There are people who call themselves life coaches and they give you advice based on their experience and their personal beliefs. Okay. See, when I do a coaching session, it's not based on my life. You're not going to look at me and say, oh, you cheated on your man, because I'm not giving you that kind of advice. Those things are, so you know how you have symptoms and the symptoms are from a bigger problem. Those are symptoms. I don't deal with your symptoms. I don't deal with your cheating. I don't deal with that part. We deal with the problem. So when you find people who are giving you advice based on your symptoms, those are not life coaches. Those are people who heard this term called life coach because it was a trendy title a few years ago, and they thought you were just giving advice, so everybody hopped on that band, which is why I don't even call myself a life coach, because it's just too many people out there giving advice and have no clue what they're really doing. They really have no idea how to help you. They can only give you advice based on their experience, and that's not a life coach. So I just wanted to clear that up first.
Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate that clarification and the definition, because it does make a difference when a person has taken the time to study and become credentialed in a particular area. Then you can't just lump them in with every YouTube wannabe on the planet.
Right.
And they are like coming out of the woodwork.
Right.
Woodworks, yeah.
So different thing. And when you talk to my mentor, that's how I was referred to her. When you talk to my mentor, you will understand that she's not giving you advice. You will understand that she's taking you deeper into yourself so that you can heal your wounds. She's not going to tell you, oh, you need to leave him. No, maybe you need to stay with him because it's making you confront some of your own issues. So this is a whole different game. You about to go into a whole different genre of things right now. So
wow. Okay, and get ready for the wild ride. Well, can I impose upon you, please, to introduce your friend and mentor, who is our special guest tonight?
Oh, okay. Well, this is a great honor to introduce her because I love this woman. She changed my life. Period. You know, I thought I had it together. And when she invited me to go through the whole training process, you know, maybe she saw that I had some issues that I didn't know about, but she changed my whole life. I met her one day at an event and our energies just clicked. It's like, ever since then, we've just been who we are, you know. So I would love to introduce to you a woman that has my utmost respect. That is I call her Miss Rita, but she's Rita Shemsu-t, and I finally said it right, Stewart. Yay!
Yay! Woo!
I'm happy because you did say it right.
Yes, finally. It took how many years? Like,
oh my God, 20? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Well, hello, Miss Rita, and welcome. Hi to our guest, Carol Hardiman, in the building as well. And Arabella Jordan is here. So we're happy to have the ladies and gentlemen in the building with us and invite more to come in, share. If you're on YouTube, make sure you give us the thumbs up, please, and share that we are here, because I tell you tonight, just like Xavia said, buckle up and get ready for the wild ride, because you're going to break it all the way down. Is that not right, Miss Rita?
We're going to get into it, and I'm actually excited about just the energy that's in the room, but also the energy that's in the cosmos. It's ready. It's ready for us to open this up. Yeah.
Yes. Indeed. Well, please share with us a little bit of your background and why we should be so very honored to have you here with us tonight.
Sure. So I've actually been in the coaching genre for over 30 years now, but I've been counseling people or adults for close to 40 years. I started when I was 23, actually, as the Minority Affairs Advisor at Westmar College in Lamars, Iowa. And I started on this journey of spiritual growth and development at the age of 5, and we'll get into that another time.
Wow.
But I developed the curriculum to be a life coach based on the work that I was learning in corporate America. And I realized that a lot of the things they were teaching me, hey, they need this in the hood. How can I get this to my people, you know?
Yes.
And so I began working actually in my community. So I started with a group of young people. My son at the time was 12, and we started meeting in my living room on a weekly basis. Actually, it was a Wednesday night, Miss B.
All right.
When we met there, and we were doing meditation, and we were talking about the struggles they were having as teenagers living in the suburbs of Chicago. And then the girls started coming. And when the girls started coming, the parents started coming. So when I tell you that my living room was packed on a Wednesday night, so much so that the police started parking outside. Yeah. And that was the birth of what we call Master Force, mastering your life force. And now here we are 30 plus years later, sharing it with people so that they can actually use it for themselves in their own life, and then go out and help us or assist other people.
Wow. So that's how you began teaching and sharing, and it developed into what it is today. That is absolutely fantastic. We want to welcome Verna Biggerstaff to the conversation. This is her first time joining us, and so we wanted to pop your virginal cherry and say welcome to Raw Talk. Hi, Shalanda. And so the ones who love you are checking in and saying hello to you. So we thank you so much for being here. Yeah, this is good juice tonight. And so, you know, like we initially said, we go through things. We have so many different types of trauma in our life. We have children that have been abused, you know, mentally, physically, sexually, and they start out before they can even develop an interpersonal relationship. They start out bruised and damaged, and then you go on and attract more of the same type of thing in your life, and can really get on a cycle of being hurt and disappointed and damaged. So what does a person do? What is the first step to doing this thing we call work when it comes to healing?
That's an awesome question. And you put so many juicy pieces inside of that. The first thing I want to put inside of this context is that society will have us believe that trauma is supposed to last your whole life. And that if it happens when you're a child, you will be messed up the rest of your life. However, trauma is actually the opening to a gift. And when we look at this from a spiritual standpoint, and that's what we say Master Force is coaching for the soul. We're not interested in making you feel better or look better and all. We're interested in having you connect to the deepest part of yourself so that you can remember who you are.
Okay.
So even in my own childhood, I began being molested at the age of 5 by Daddy Frank. And I knew that if I sat on Daddy Frank's lap, he was going to give me 25 cents if I let him play with my clitoris. Okay. And 25 cents back then for some penny candy. Oh, come
Yeah.
on. Where's Daddy Frank? I need 25 cents. I was a baller back then at 5 years old. Okay. So
Tearing it up at the candy store with the 2 for penny
I can
candy.
treat you. I can treat you. Everybody get candy. And you don't realize, or I didn't realize, that there was a disconnection in my sexual orientation until I had my heartbreak and I had to say, hey, that person is emotionally unavailable. So if I'm saying that person is emotional unavailable, what is there for me is a mirror, right? And the
Okay.
mirror is, if I can see that in him, it has to exist in me, right? So
Yes.
that's where the first work is. As soon as you say you are such and such and such, look at the mirror, reflect on yourself. Look and see where you are either suppressing that same conversation that you're having about them, or that you're judging it and you're not even accepting that that's true about you. So when I had to look at that person who was not emotionally available, I had to sit back and say, okay, what happened? And I had to go all the way back to my Daddy Frank story and realize that in order to experience what was going on, I had to disconnect from myself. That was not pleasure for me. That was 25 cents. So being connected to somebody was not pleasurable for me.
Oh.
You understand? That
Yeah.
was a let me let you get what you want, and then I can go on about my business. So there was no connection there. Can you hear that?
Yeah,
And many
not
of us,
good.
go on, we have 2 and 3 children before we realize, and a lot of women tell you, I don't have an orgasm. Most of that is due to being disconnected as a child from either molestation or blame or, being called fast, or there's so many reasons that we get disconnected from ourselves. That we have to stop and do that work. We have to get whole and complete here. And so your first look at it is as soon as you call somebody out about something that they're doing. So that's what I tell everybody. Look and see, who are you blaming something on? Then check yourself. Does that
Ooh,
make sense?
that makes plenty of sense. And that's a difficult truth to face sometimes.
Oh,
And well, all the time. Every time.
You know what?
nobody wants to do that work, Miss B.
It's funny because I had to do that work with. I remember when we were in class, and I remember talking about the men that I tend to attract are arrogant. I kind of like slightly arrogant men though, and so I do attract arrogant men. Some are a little more arrogant than I would want them to be. And I remember Miss Rita saying, "Well, because she always calls me Dr. Fox." She said, "Dr. Fox," she said, "what makes you think you're not arrogant?" Now, that was the first time that I'd had a hint that some people might find me a little arrogant. I'm very outgoing and outspoken and, just kind of there. I'm a Leo, Virgo, that Leo side of me is in your face anyway.
Tell me a Leo that's not arrogant.
Leos are known to have kind of big egos. So the first
At
thing
least you got it honest.
was look at myself. When you look at that other person and you understand that they mirror you, and when you understand that you attract where you vibrate. So when if you are not vibrating on the same plane, you're not going to attract that person.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, there's certain people you're just not going to attract. Because I don't want to offend anybody. Anyway, so when you have to look at yourself and come to those terms and know who you are, in dealing with some of the work with my parents and forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big one for me. And I thought that I was really forgiving, but I wasn't really forgiving. I was just suppressing, actually. I was more
and ignoring. You were doing a lot of ignoring and avoiding, and that's easy for most of us. Most of us do that because if it's not in our face, I'm fine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would just stuff it away. And when I had to confront it, when I really actually had to confront it, I realized that I actually didn't know how to forgive, you know. And so Miss Rita took me through this thing, and we talked about understanding where that other person is in their life, and that they were probably doing the best that they could at that time based on where they were in their life. So forgiving is really a huge thing, because you actually have to kind of get into that other person's shoes to some degree so that you can get some understanding. You know, my mom and dad didn't do the stuff that they did because they necessarily hated me like I felt they did. They did it because that was what they could do at the time. That was the best they could do at the time, based on what their childhoods were like, based on what their life experiences had been like, based on what they believed at the time. They did the best that they could. So forgiveness is
and I want to acknowledge you, Xavia, because I have watched you take care of your parents, even through the pain that you had to deal with. You were dealing with your own pain and you were still working through it, but you have such a big heart. And I am so grateful that you did that work with your dad before he passed. That was huge. I mean, the whole planet probably got lifted just because of that. And that's what it's about, right? One person do the work, you affected your whole family.
Right. You told me I was breaking generational curses.
Yeah, that was huge. So I just want to acknowledge you, because I sit back, I don't say too much, but I'm telling you, I be in my little castle like, wow.
Yeah. I'd be over here like, wow, too. Like, oh.
Well, you know, Xavia, you touched on something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the story of forgiveness. I often say that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really, because once you get to a point where you can forgive somebody, you understand that they were doing what they're doing, that they were living out the life that they created for themselves, very much like a movie. You know, that's their movie, and that's what they're projecting. That's what they're doing. And it really is meant to be of no harm to you. And, you know, and so in the event that happens, you just have to say, well, that's what that is, and be able to forgive that person. Once you do that, you set yourself free.
Totally.
You are totally free. You can go anywhere, do anything with anyone. You don't have to, worry about how they feel about it, because you are okay with it. When you're okay with it first, then the rest is easy. Girlfriend Peggy, I thought you had something you wanted to comment on. I didn't know if you were talking and we couldn't hear you. Talk to me, because I don't know if I can hear you. Okay.
Oh, mute.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see you're muted. Why are you muted? You have to unmute yourself. But
there you go.
Now we can hear you. Yeah, because I think you were talking, but and I was telling you I couldn't hear you. But yes, okay.
I was just saying that, I could relate to that, because after that hurt that I felt like I went through, I was angry, so angry for a number of months at that other person, pointing the finger, blaming them for the hurt that I experienced. And then I had to finally stop, and I came to a point where I said, listen, I have to take some responsibility for myself and turn the mirror around and look at myself. What role did I play? What did I do? I went along with it. I co-signed on everything that he was doing. I didn't stop it. You know, I had to develop a backbone. I had to get a sense of reaching back for who I was, and no, I deserve better than this, and I needed to move forward. And the only way I could do that was to release, forgive, let go, and then start purposefully walking forward, not looking back to what happened and why. It was to put me in a better place. It was all for my good, in other words. That was a pivotal point in my life.
Mm-hmm. I want to follow behind her and say something, because a lot of people get caught up.
Can you turn her up a little bit?
Can you hear me? Can you hear
I don't
me?
have control over that. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you turn the
I hear a
volume up?
little better. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to follow up with that and say, sometimes people don't know the difference between getting over the person versus getting over the trauma or the scars that are
Okay.
experienced. We think because, oh, I don't want him no more, I don't want her no more. You think you're healed, but no, you're not. You're not healed. You just you got over that. You may not even have really got over that person, but we'll just say you did. You may have gotten over the person, but you're still taking those scars. And that's when we, read and see and hear all of the anger on Facebook. You can tell people who are still angry. You can tell people who are still hurting. You can hear, but they think that they're healed.
Mm-hmm.
We all can see it and hear it. You probably have friends. You know that they're still hurting. They have that block up. They have, that proverbial fence that's electrified and surrounded with rabid pit bulls and stuff, But but they think they're healed. They just may not desire to put that person back in their lives. But that's two whole different things: is being healed, getting over the person versus being healed emotionally and mentally and spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big difference. And Crystal joined us, and she says, "Is it the same as no longer being the victim?"
Well, that it actually, I think every day we have the opportunity to see ourselves or to choose whether we're being a victim or not, right? Everything shows up for us to take responsibility. So it can be the same, but you want to know that just because you did it once and said, no, I'm not the victim here, you literally have to do that on a regular basis. And I love what Miss Peggy said. You have to take responsibility every single time. Every single time. Instead of waiting for somebody else to own it, you have to own it. And where you're not willing to own it, you really can't complain about it. But I want to speak a little bit about vibration. Dr. Fox brought it up earlier, and I want us to really see, because this is where we can take the greatest responsibility. Most of us will want to go back and look at the environment that we were created in as infants. We want to look at the frequency, the energy, the vibration that our mother was in when we were incubating in the womb. Okay. Because that energy, 75% of the body is water. We're in a placenta, the baby, 80% of that baby, and we're in water. So we're taking in that frequency the whole 9 months. So if mom is scared, if she's angry, if she's isolated, if she's alone, if she's paranoid, whatever it is, it's affecting that child.
Yeah.
So now when the child comes out, what's the other environment? What else is going on out here? Has that changed, or is it increasing that frequency? Can you hear that? So we come out with this frequency. So as you get older, you adapt to the frequency around you, and that's what you vibrate. So you're actually being conditioned by your environment. And when you go out away from there, this is the frequency that you're resonating to the world. Right? And you hear people say, oh, self-hate. Well, if you grew up in a family that did not know how to love themselves, you probably do not know how to love yourself. So what you do is you send out a frequency of, I don't love myself. Right? And who do you attract? You attract people who can feed off of that. They can feed off of that.
Right.
And that's when you have,
because they don't love themselves either.
Hello. You're going to attract that same frequency. This is why you must take time to heal. so that you can raise your vibration based on who you are, not that environment that you grow up in, not passing the traits that your mother passed to you. You have to do that work even to help your mother so that she can heal. We help heal our parents by healing ourselves. This is where they talk about generational healing. We do it, our mothers, then whatever her mother, you see that? It goes all the way back. And we get to stop passing it forward. Can you hear that? Am I making sense?
Yes, yes, you are. But I don't know. There, of course, are some people who understand the spiritual lingo of vibration. When you're very religious, there's a lingo that goes with that. I'm too blessed to be stressed, or all of the kind of surface things that people say. But when you start talking about vibration, sometimes that's not as easy for people to understand. That everything is a vibration.
Everything.
Every single solitary thing.
The food that you eat, the music that you listen to, the clothes that you put on, the things that you watch on television affects your vibration and your frequency. This is why we have to take better responsibility, because we've let a whole generation of our children be affected by music that is detrimental to their future. And we're watching them die by the droves. We're watching them, and we want to blame somebody else, but we allowed it.
We allowed
it.
We
don't take responsibility.
And we're still allowing it.
And we're still allowing it.
And we're still allowing it.
I just saw somebody say,
still, right.
It has made them billions of dollars. Money is not the winning ticket. Money is not the winning ticket. Money is a tool. Right. Okay. It is not the winning ticket. So you can have a whole lot more money than me, but you may not have all the joy that I have. Okay.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, they want to use money as a measure of success. It's not.
No, it's not the be all to
success. Yeah, it can be. Most people measure success by money, but it's not. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And so your vibration is very much like it's like a radio signal from the radio station you like to listen to. And so that's what it is. And so when you're talking about changing your vibration, I had to figure out what was the work necessary to do that. And as a result, it's meditation. And we're taught to pray. We're taught to scream out loud and to beg Jesus to do this and to come on and get this done and, roll around and all of those kind of things that do not change your vibration.
No.
Then it's not going to elevate your vibration. It is the opposite. It is the being quiet. Mm-hmm. It is working on exercising the focus of your mind, because like a muscle in your body, it needs that same sort of exercise and attention, because the mind is racing all of the time. And I heard a guru say, he says, you all are so sloppy. You're sloppy thinkers, and not thinking about that what you think about resonates in your feeling, that connects to that vibration. Is all together, and you can't lie. You can't lie about it.
No,
you can say what or you can do all of the positive affirmations you want, but your feeling is your feeling, and that is your vibration, and where you're vibrating doesn't lie ever, and you can tell by what shows up.
Come on. That's right.
I want to hop in and talk about the whole religion thing, when you said religion versus, the spiritual and the vibrations and stuff. And when we start to talk about relationships and healing from relationships, oftentimes, because, one of the things that we learned during certification is we had to study like all religions. And, one of the things that you immediately learn is based on where you grew up in the world, your religion is going to be different, just based on where you live in general. So that just kind of tells you how religion kind of is. If you grew up in the Middle East, you're going to believe something totally different than if you grew up in America with Christianity. So so as we look at religion as it relates to relationships and how we heal from those, what you believe, because we have to ask people, about their religion, that's going to tell us what their whole belief system is.
Yes.
And so if you are Christian and you don't believe that divorce is right, but you wind up divorced, that's going to mess with you.
That's going to mess you up.
That's going to mess. Whereas instead of feeling that, you should be whole and happy and fulfilled and be able to let go, as the Tao teaches us to be able to let go of things. We're not necessarily conditioned in this world to let go of anything. We get into one relationship, and that one relationship is supposed to last us our whole life.
That's right.
Stay the same person our whole life.
No, you don't.
Totally different than I was at 23.
Yes.
I always say, my husband was killed, but I always think about, if he had lived, because I'm totally different than I was at 23 when I met him. Would we even still be together? Would we have outgrown each other? Because I was married at 27. I was young, So people, they hold on to the religious because that's what we conditioned to do, get married and have kids and stuff. And that's just not for everybody. We're not cookie cutters. So in healing from relationships, we first have to also look at what our belief system is and how this whole thing is affecting us based on what we really believe life is supposed to be about.
That's really great. I also want to add, and thank you for bringing that up too, Dr. Fox. I also want to add to what Ms. B said about meditation, because what goes along with meditation and adjusting your vibration is breathing.
Yes.
Conscious breathing. One of the best things that you could do for yourself is to train yourself to belly breathe. And that's the quickest way for you to get the hookup from your spirit, from the universe. It will calm you down. It will actually help you to clarify your mind. And then you can go deeper into your meditation through your breath. But instead of getting excited and anxious, we literally, that's our first class. We teach breathing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add to that with the meditation.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's where, if we were to do it in steps, what would you say? Is it something that a person can do by themselves, or do you recommend that they seek out a guide such as yourself or Xavia?
Yeah, well, listen, here's the thing. The reason that I had to do it by myself, because I was the only person vibrating on that frequency at the time.
Okay.
And then I created a whole posse.
Right.
Yes, you did.
And all the coaches now hold me accountable for my continued growth and development. Because as long as I'm here, I'm still growing and developing. And they are my mirrors. They are my teachers. Just as much as I've shared with them, they share with me. So we recommend that you have someone work with you, if nothing else, for accountability. Okay, so that you can have someone hearing and listening for you. And when I first started coaching, and people say, well, why do I need a coach? I say, it's as simple as this. You go home and you tell your sister, your mother, hey, I'm going to write a book. They're going to say, don't nobody want to hear your boring ass life. You don't, what? Go sit down someplace. Don't nobody. No, but you get a life coach. We say, oh my God, what are we going to talk about? Let's go. I have a publisher. I have an editor. Come on now. Let's get it. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah. You have somebody who's listening for your greatness instead of someone who can't even understand why you think you can do that.
Right.
It's different.
Because they know too much about you.
That's right. And they won't let you out of that.
They won't let you out of your shortcomings that may have happened 10 years ago.
Come on, that's right.
And they want to still,
hold you to that.
stuck in that place and you've moved on.
That's right.
Yep.
You moved on. But they're also in a vibration that you can see. You have a vision. You can see that you can get out of that. But because we still seek people's approval in our family, that's what that hook is. That's why it's like, you can't tell them everything. You got to get you a coach, get you somebody, and move on out of there.
Right.
And then come back and say, look, I wrote a book. That's how you do that. If you start telling them about it, they not going,
Right.
No.
One of the greatest
things you need to keep to yourself for a little while.
A lot of things.
A lot of things. Well, tell me, is in the process of talking with a coach and beginning to work on your pain and hurting, your healing, is it detrimental in any way to regurgitate all of that stuff? Does that not keep you in that vibrational space when you talk about it again or talk about it constantly and repeat it? At what point do you get out of that?
Well, first of all, we're not therapists, so we don't allow you to do that like that. We're not that interested in it. As a matter of fact, we actually teach. Tell us what happened, and you can't keep on with it. We ain't,
you can't be stuck on your story. That was the verbiage. You can't be stuck on your story.
No, you can't be stuck on your story, because now we do a session called Master Teacher, and we want you to be able to tell us, where is that trauma? Tell us, go all the way back as far as you can and tell us what that trauma is, what it looks like, and then tell us what happened, and then tell us what it is that you got from that. And now we want you to acknowledge the person that actually gave you that gift. And people are like, whoa, oh, wait a minute, huh? And so it takes a minute, but baby, when that breakthrough happens, because most of the time we're holding on to stuff that is completely unnecessary. It no longer serves us and is getting in the way of us seeing our power. So we do not want to hear the story. We're not the therapists. That's why people stay stuck. You hear people say, yeah, I've been in therapy for 30 years. And you still are on that same problem? Yeah, that's job security for the therapist. We try to get rid of ourselves. Matter of fact, we tell it, you have to get yourself fired. You teach them what you learned and you move out the way.
That's right.
Okay.
Story, because you're stuck there simply because it gives you get something out of telling that story over and over again. You get attention.
Like Dr. Phil says, and so how's that working for you?
Yeah.
Right. So another thing.
Yeah, I think.
Yes, girlfriend Peggy.
Go ahead.
No, okay. I was saying again with that too. I think people hold themselves hostage, try to hold themselves hostage to that situation. They're looking for closure, and sometimes it's never going to come from that other person. You have to know how to get the closure that you need from yourself to move on and release yourself and let yourself go from that situation. Because an apology or whatever it is that you're looking for that person to come back and say, I'm sorry I did you wrong, I treated you this way, or called you those names, or whatever it is they did to you, hit you, beat you, whatever. They may never come back to you and give you an apology. So you just can't lean and just wait and hope and pray that they're going to come back and give you those that you need. Yeah. So I feel like, for me anyway, I had to give myself my own closure. I had to write the final chapter in that book and move on.
Mm-hmm. And for people who are in that situation right now, let me give you a suggestion on how to give yourself that closure. Like right now, today, write a letter. Like literally write a letter. And even if the person is deceased, if they're on the other side, and I'm not telling you have to give the person the letter, but what I want you to do,
letter,
out of your heart, and write it down and write it to that person.
I've written a 27-page letter. I did it. I've done it on several occasions. I've written a 27 and a 31-page letter that is sealed up in my closet this day.
Come on.
And that was written years ago.
Yes, that's what it takes. You write that letter and you complete that for yourself, and make sure that you say everything that you need to say in that letter. and then you seal it, burn it.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to with it. Now, if the person is still alive and you would like to create a relationship with that person, you can mail it to them. But if you choose to do that, you cannot mail a letter that blames them. You have to take full responsibility, and you have to honor them for the lesson and not for the pain. So
Peggy
that,
don't like that.
yeah, that's a different level.
Peggy don't like that. Do your girlfriend Peggy?
No, I don't like the part where I need to give them that letter. No, that's for me. The letter was for me. They'll
Yeah.
never read that letter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I want to throw something else out into the ring, because we going on our topic of how to heal and stuff. And so another thing that now Miss Rita was with me through 2 heartbreaks, so I got a lot of heartbreak advice. Well, not advice, heartbreak healing ways to come to terms with what I'm going through. And another thing, and I guess this might go right along with the Leo thing, but I think a lot of people have this issue, and that is trying to control that other person. Like if he doesn't call me every day, twice a day by this time, I'm mad and I'm not going to talk to you no more. She told me that I can have standards, but you can't have expectations. I think I touched on that the last show that we did. You can have, I can set my standards as to what I will accept, but I can't impose my expectations on another person, because that person has their own life and their own journey to live. I remember one time I was sitting there and my ex called me, because he often does, and she was like, "You're not gonna answer it?" I was like, because he ain't called me in 2 weeks. She's like, "What does that have to do with it?"
Oh, everything.
Right, to me it was, but that is control. That's control. That's your level of control. Why can't I answer the phone and say hello when this is a person that I've been, he never abused me. He just had another path that he needed to go on at that time. So why am I mad about it? Because he didn't do what I wanted him to do?
But you know what? And I'm so it's so beautiful, because I'm gonna say this, and I want everyone to hear me clearly. We have the strangest relationship with men on the planet. Do you know we don't do our girlfriends like that? If our girlfriends say, "I'm gonna call you back," and you get off the phone with her and she don't call you back for 4 weeks, you gonna call her and say, "Girl, you okay? What's going on?"
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be 4 weeks. I'm not going that long. That's my girlfriend. I'm not going that long.
I'm just saying, Miss B, I'm saying that why do we put that type of stress on a man as though he's supposed to live up to something? We have to create friendships and relationships from love, not from possessions and saying, "Oh, you got to do this and that's how I know you love me." That person is learning how to love themselves too. And guess who they're learning from? They're learning from you, because most of them didn't grow up with mothers in the house. You know why? Because their mothers were working. So the most feminine love they get is from you, and you are the expression of love. But if your expression of love is, "Oh yeah, you need to do what I tell you to do and take the garbage out on the way out," that ain't love. That's what you do with children.
So, I'm guilty though. Oh God, I'm guilty, and I don't know. I don't know quite what I'm going to do about that. Listen, if you tell me that you're going to call me, I'm going to wait a few days. And if you don't call me, I want to know what the F is going on. Because when you want something from me, when you're ready for sex, when you're ready for this feminine attention that you missed out on as a child, you calling me. And if I don't answer, you calling back to back. Now it's something that you want. And so all of a sudden calling becomes very important. But when it's not on your mind, or you with somebody else, or you're doing something else, "Oh, you ain't got time to call me, and I shouldn't be upset that you didn't do." I sound like an angry woman.
Yes. And there's a part of the course
about it. Damn it, you said you was going to call me. I'm looking for you to call me. I'm looking for you to freaking call me.
So check this out. There's a part of the course,
just as simple as promise.
There is part of the course where we talk about non-violent communication.
Oh, sorry.
So, Miss B, there's a part where you can have a grown-ass woman's conversation using a sexy voice, using a gentle, nurturing, being straight and firm, being loving, being nurturing, being supportive, saying, you know what, this is how I feel when I call you and you don't answer, or when you tell me you're going to call and then you don't. This is what I'm left with. Now, how do we move forward from here? You tell me what is the best way to deal with this, because I can make up a whole lot of stuff in my mind about what's going on, but tell me, how would you like me? And this gives them a chance to have a grown folks come. Again, they're learning from us. They're learning from us. So we have to remember that.
And then you also have to keep in mind, Miss B, what you just said. So the guy on the flip side, because again, where we vibrate, that's where we attract. So if when he wants something, he's coming at you the same way you're coming at him when you want something, you've attracted someone on that same level. You both are being controlling. He's trying to tell you, this is what I need it now, and you need to supply it. Otherwise, there's a problem. Well, no, you were going about your life because you here on your journey as well. So you've attracted exactly what you putting out there is that and so when you let go, that's something. So I'm in another group and we're studying the Tao right now, and which is all about letting go and
allowing things to be like they are.
Exactly, allowing things to be like they are. And that is like one of the most difficult things in the society that we live in, because we feel like we need to control everything around. And I think especially as women, especially if we've been a single parent, because you got these kids running around and you got this job and you got, you might have church, you might have whatever else you might have. And if you don't keep it all under control, you feel like things are going to fall apart. But then even once we get rid of the kids and all of that kind of stuff, then we start to kind of micromanage all the other people in our work.
Damn right.
Our men, men become the new.
Women do. They multitask.
But
they multitask. They come up doing 7 things at one time.
But we have to learn to.
That's just what we do.
People.
That's not just what we do, Miss Peggy.
On their journey.
We are.
I mean, I know if I'm driving the car. If I'm driving, I'm not only driving. I'm putting a lipstick. I'm eating a burger. I may be I'm doing like 6 things at one time. Driving a stick shift. Yeah. I've done that at times, but I know women do multitask. They do.
Of course we have, but that is what we do to get things done, but it doesn't nurture you. It doesn't nurture you. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't support your well-being at all on any level. It might get something done, but being present, being fully 100% engaged in what you're doing, that offers you an opportunity to actually feel alive. You can do all that stuff, but you're still hungry when you get done because you didn't remember finishing the hamburger.
Right. You didn't sit down and I read what someone said that even something as simple as having a meal should almost be like a religious ritual.
It's sacred.
It's sacred. It is sacred. A sacred ritual. There's no TV. There's no phone. It's lovely. It's a beautiful presentation.
It's intimate.
You eat. You enjoy the food.
It's intimate, yeah.
It's intimate. It's intimate. You enjoy every morsel.
Yeah.
From the audience, from the virtual building, Terrell Vincent says, because women are taught that men will at some point fail them, use them, or hurt them, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And men would say the same thing about women.
Yeah, and he's well. Terrell is a man, and he
Okay.
said that that women are taught this, and because and that is part of that real deep seated belief thing you talked about, Xavier. How important it is to find out what a person's belief system is, because
Right.
a belief is something that you just think over and over again, but it's not necessarily right or true.
It's
Right.
not true. Yeah.
It's not true, and
I don't think we taught that.
Some people are taught. Well, let me tell you how it gets into our psyche. It gets into our psyche because many of us had fathers that left. Okay. So if we did not, and I to this day don't know who my father is. So I know that I did not get the father gene, the energy in the household, right? So it took me some time to actually be initiated into masculine energy. And that initiation was painful because I attracted violent men who wanted to give me black eyes and knock my teeth out and kick me down the stairs and make me have miscarriages. And it took me, even when I went to the one time that I did go to a therapist, and she looked at me like, what are you complaining about? And I remember going and actually telling God, show me how to heal. And show me in a way that it doesn't cost a lot of money so I can help other people, because this stuff doesn't work. Because the only thing that therapist said was, did you see your father beat your mother? And when I told her no, she had no other recourse. She didn't know what to do with that. Because in her world, you probably learned that that's how women are treated. But no, I had to dig deep inside and again do that work on my vibration, because I grew up in a house full of angry women.
wow,
Angry women who were angry because they didn't have husbands or men or whoever they were. They were angry at society. Wherever they were angry, I was the youngest child in the house, and shit rolls downhill, right? So that frequency about men was totally embedded in me. You understand that? Men was not around. So that's how it's, even if we're not taught that, Miss Peggy, it's part of the, the network that we see. There are no fathers. And then people have nerve to do commercials with single mothers. Come on. And that fulfills that, puts it deeper into the visualization. And we get to change that. We don't have to buy into that.
Right.
We don't. Shirley Walthour says that it's important to be reminded that the best control is self-control. She says that she believes that people who want to control others are usually out of control themselves.
Come on. That's truth. Hey.
That's truth right there for you. Terrell says also men are terrible at communicating how they feel.
Yes.
So very often they don't call. It means that there's a fear rooted in their emotions, like rejection or hurt.
Come on.
So.
And I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she said, he doesn't tell me how he feels. And I said, if you can't tell how a man feels except for what he's saying, you are already out the game.
Wow.
Because you can feel him. And if you feel him, he feels you. And if he's afraid to say that, just keep making it safe. Keep making it safe. And if that means he have to go off for however way we going, let him go off. You keep dealing with you and whatever that is that you have to deal with. And the more that you keep your vibration in a healthy, secure, your security is within you. It's not whether you have somebody else anyway.
Right. That's
right.
Yeah. So if you keep trying to do something so you can have somebody, you're missing the opportunity to find out how amazing you are.
Amen.
You are yourself. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
That's big. That is the biggest revelation that I had this ain't the end of it, but over the past, I think I got involved in 2011 or 12. And my whole journey took me to a point where I understood that me being good with me was the first stage. Because I grew up always trying to please my mom. I was an only child and I had my own set of circumstances, but I always wanted that acceptance, that okay. And I actually get to a point where I accepted me and was okay with me, and it didn't matter about anybody else being okay with me. Then I could move on. I could walk different. I felt different. And when we start to look at, and then, growing up because you guys know I'm a little bit older, but, well, actually, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm actually the youngest one on this call.
Probably.
Yes. Yes, you're the baby.
I'm probably the oldest, right?
Circle, but anyway.
I don't know, Rita.
I don't know. My birthday in January.
So what I grew up in a time where we were taught that, the man was going to be the provider, and I was actually a housewife when I was married. And, that kind of, they didn't tell you necessarily go out and find your way and do your thing. The focus was that you would get a good husband and that you could build a house and a family with. That kind of took away from who I was, not just as a woman, but who I was as a person. What were my goals and dreams and aspirations? I didn't build myself enough because I was building and preparing to be somebody's wife, somebody's woman. And if it wasn't that, then there must be a problem with me. And it ain't no problem with me. We have to get our young girls to focus more so on establishing who they are and building themselves up before they start to try and add another person into the mix.
Look at the family.
I believe that's how a lot of young women kind of lose themselves because they haven't ever found themselves yet. And now you got a man telling you who and what you're supposed to be.
Well, some of them get babies before they get the man. And that's
because men tell them that they're supposed to be sex partners.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And that dynamic messes a lot of things up, especially if you don't have a strong male and female influence around you that encourages you to still go on and achieve and develop and be the person that you are to be. And so, without that, you get sidetracked. The baby can be, quite a distraction. And, but if we could start them off young, giving them things that are so important to them to do and have and be and achieve, then their value for being with a man elevates. And then, they vibrate on that level and they have to attract a man. They will attract a man who has the same the same type of potential. He too is working on being his best self so that when he comes together with the right woman, then, it's a beautiful match. But we're not taught that. We just kind of go at this thing willy-nilly. We are just like, just buck wild. You just meet somebody and you like them and then you like them. And then, if you think it's love and then the next thing you're pregnant and it ain't love.
True.
I wish that I did grow up with my father. But my father, my dad was almost 92 when he died. And so my dad just really did come, and my mom, they just really did come from that time period where they believed that getting married, being prepared for, because my dad used to talk to me about how to make a man happy. He talked to me about stroking a man's ego, and he talked to me about all that kind of stuff. And I wish he had talked to me about, you seem like you should go to college for broadcasting. That's what the conversation I would have preferred somebody had with me, because what I've learned over the years, the men are going to show up anyway. But the broadcasting career, I needed to go after that one.
Right, because that's not
too late. It's not too late. And you are a natural broadcaster. You do not have to go to school for that, just so you know.
And you know what? That is one thing I would love to,
I got what you said.
encouraged me. No, from day one, she has always encouraged me. So when she was talking about the difference of having a coach and not having a coach, she has always been, you can do that. So now what's the first thing you need to do?
That's right.
And I'm a planner anyway. So having her say, you could do that, okay, so what's the first thing you need to do?
Mhm.
And we go right along our way. And then she check in with me. So did you do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, well,
kind of, sort of, not exactly.
Talking to me.
Something like that.
I'm trying to figure out why, and I don't know when I'm gonna get to Z, but
wait, I want to put something in with what Miss B said, and I just want to throw this in there because one of the best ways we can start teaching our children to recognize and appreciate who they are is to do their natal chart. So that they understand their astrological makeup and the spiritual gifts that they come here with. They come here empowered. Like you said, actually, Dr. Fox, if you would have seen your natal chart at a young age, you would have known that communication is a very strong point for you, right? So this is something that that the church told us was satanic and not to study. But guess what? This is how all of society do what they do based on how the moon is moving, how the stars are set up. But they told the rest of us it was wrong.
Yep.
Okay, but in Roots, what was the first thing they did? They held that baby up and they held it up to the heavens, and you saw the sage sitting there drawing the sky out so that they could tell the parents what that child's name needed to be, so that child could be actually empowered by us calling them that name. And then they become that so that they can have the strength to withstand all of the harsh things that the world was going to put at them. We're giving children names based on I don't know what, but they don't even have internal strength.
A wine, or a car.
Yes.
Cars.
So we have to do natal charts. Okay, I just wanted to throw that in.
Right. And so you have to find somebody who does that. I take it that you do that.
We have plenty of people that do that. So we have coaches. Yes, we have people that do that. As a matter of fact, Miss B, when you and I met, I said, "What's your birthday, girl? You a queen of club, and I'm a queen of spade, and we run through every lifetime together." I was so happy to get off the phone and say, "Oh, I found me another queen of club," and that's how we know that we're about to open up something.
Yes.
So. Yes. That's how we vibrate and we raise the frequency, but we have to start with our children, and you said, where can you get your natal chart? There's a free site, and I believe it's called let me see. I think it's called Cafe Astrology. Xavia, do you know if that is?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's called cafeastrology.com. And in order to do that, you're going to have to know not just your birth date, but you're going to have to know the state and the time, because your ascending time, like my sun sign is Capricorn, but my ascending sign, I don't exactly know because I have to get my long birth certificate. You have to know the time.
You have to know the city, the location on the planet.
Yep.
And what time.
And the time. Yeah, so go ask your mama. If you don't have a birth certificate, go ask your mama.
Yes, ask somebody. See if it's in the Bible somewhere. Somebody wrote it down in the Bible when you got here. Terrell Vincent says, what is the true role that a mother needs to have with their sons to turn them into loving, healthy men?
That's a beautiful question.
Good question.
Well, I do have 2 grown sons, so I can speak to this I love them too. And they, I tell them they have mother issues and they swear they don't. But you have to not be controlling. You have to let them be men from the time that they're old enough to distinguish that they're different from you. You know, I
You have
remember,
to be careful not to emasculate them before they can even get started.
and this is what we do. We want to tell them what to do. We want to smack them around. We want to make them surrender to, I'm your mama. You do what I say. And that kind of treatment shuts down the heart, the spirit. You know, it shuts down the will at a very young age. And so the only time they get to be powerful is when they're in the wit of wheels, when they go in the street and they got to prove their, you don't want to do that to your child. You want your son to have his sensitivity. A sensitive man can get in touch with his feminine energy and can be loving and nurturing and supportive. But if you made him into what they're calling these alpha men, he's having a hard time identifying with what he's feeling. And he's having a hard time allowing his heart to dictate to him what he needs to do next.
Wow.
The brain is not the biggest power. Our heart has a brain too. And if we do not teach our sons to feel and to be safe in their feelings and to express their feelings, all they have is anger, because they're going to cover up that hurt every time with anger. They're not going to want to feel it. So the best thing that a mother can do is to allow their sons know this: we are not raising children. We're not raising children. They're children, but we're not raising. We want them to be people. So if you keep wanting to control them, they get to a certain age. I don't care if they are 18. You haven't taught them how to respond to life as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to actually allow them. And the first thing you got to do, what, Miss Peggy? Make them responsible for something. Whatever that responsibility is, hold them accountable to that. Have them deal with. Don't keep bailing them out. Don't know you get in trouble. Don't call me. Call your daddy. Call somebody. Have men deal with men issues. Stop saving your sons. Have them call the uncles. Get men involved with them. And what you do is you try to have all the love in the world available and be able, if you're a single mom, separate that discipline from that love. Turn that discipline into a firm approach instead of a violent approach. And there are plenty of books out there. One of my favorites is Dare to Discipline by Dr. James Dobson, and The Strong-Willed Child by Dr. James Dobson. You know, and although they're Christian based, they still give some very strong methods in how to raise a child without breaking their spirit.
Yes.
And I just like to add to that. I think one thing that's important, and this is just coming from experience, I guess, but a lot of different things rolled into it. I think one of the things that's important with raising any of our children is really nurturing who they are showing you that they are. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times parents are like, oh, you need to be an attorney, or you need to be this, and you're going to be that. If that's not what's in them, if that's not what's in there, if that's not what their journey is, you can't say what their journey is. You know, I was talking to a young girl, and her child is homosexual, and she's just really having a major issue with that. And, you know, I'm like, this is her journey. You know, it wasn't your journey, you know, but this is her journey, and you have to love and nurture her. That's still your child. We have to nurture that person that we are raising to become a man, a woman, a responsible citizen in, you know, the world that we live in. We have to nurture them, not make them be who we want them or expect them to be, but who they were put here to be. We need to love, accept, and nurture that.
Suppose we have these souls. We're all equal souls, and we have this sacred being that came through us. And our only job is to protect them and to feed them, because they can find their own way. They're sacred, and we actually think they're less than us. So we have to really see that they are equal souls, and they came through us, and they could have been our parents in another lifetime. our grandparents or somebody else, our sister or our brother. So instead of trying to make them somebody that we control and dominate, we can actually honor them. And what you're saying, like really honor their path instead of trying to tell them, do what I say because I said so.
Yeah. The first time that I was exposed to that train of thought was when I was at a family function, and I had my grandson with me, and he must have been maybe about 5 or 6, and it was like there were string beans on his plate, and I'm just like, you need to eat those string beans, because they're good for you. And my cousin said to me, she said, oh, don't say that to him, you're taking away his power. He has an ability to make a decision about what he eat and what he doesn't want to eat. So you just suggest to him, darling, you might want to taste this. You might like it. It might taste good. You might enjoy it. Instead of, boy, you better eat them doggone string beans or else I'm going to know something and you will too. No, that's not how you talk to him. That's not how you get him to do that. You have to empower him to make the decision, and then he'll eat it or try it on his own if he feels like it. And if he doesn't, it is not the end of the world. But you don't have a Mexican standoff at the dinner table because he ain't eating his string beans. Right. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Felicia, we're glad you're in the building. What were you going to say, Xavia? Or I'm sorry, I think Peggy raised her hand. You raised your hand, Peggy?
No, I just had a quick question about with the trip. I'm a grandmother. I have an 8-year-old living in the home with me, and we often hear us in confrontation all the time. When I'm scolding her or getting on her about picking up after school and cleaning up her area, she gets very upset with me and she want to yell and scream. Now I know she's upset because I escalated and I'm upset, and she's feeling like she's getting the brunt of the, you're never doing this. You don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And so she'll yell at me and scream and say, well, I'm trying to do it, Grandma. And I want to know, should I just let her do that? Or do I always say, who are you talking to? Like, Lord, who are you talking to? Like, I'm not one of your friends. Like, lower your voice. But I'm yelling at her. Do I give her the range to express herself?
Yes, give her the range. I don't know about you, but I grew up without a voice. If I asked my grandmother, she said, go do such, and I say, why? I got smacked. I got a skillet thrown at me. I got a beat with a broom. You don't ask me why. You just do and so you go in society and you have strong leadership traits, but you're scared to say what you have to say because you never got to practice. So you're giving her the opportunity to have her voice. Now, you do want to notice that I did mention about nonviolent communication. In our culture, we need to practice nonviolent communication. And then I would probably want to read you, and I would want to read your relationship because she may have come to be your teacher. She may have come to be your teacher. And a lot of times our young people have come to be our teachers, but because we don't know how to, let that go, as Xavier, so let go and allow them to teach us, we try to give them the old ways. And we don't live in the old world. This world is becoming new. Right. So we have to learn faster and faster. We have to learn from them. I learned so much about my self-expression and my voice from my daughter, who's now 37. And I'm telling you, half the time she don't like me, but she has taught me how to be who I am because she is just boom, 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 boom in my face. I'm like, okay, baby girl, okay.
Slow down with that.
Well, my thing is, I always try to let her know she has a voice and she can use it, but I don't discipline her physically. I will discipline her verbally, but not physically, because I know that her mom disciplines her a lot.
have her do some push-ups, have her stand up against the wall, have her do downward facing dog, have her plank. Those are forms of discipline. Okay,
Right.
my son took my car one time in the winter. I said, give me 50 right now. And the men around, 50, it's in the snow. It's in the, okay, give me 25 now, 25 when we get in the house. But you not taking my car again. I bet you think about it twice, So you have to do something to break the trend. And if it's, you don't have to physically assault them, but stand up,
Right.
put the feet up against that door and hang there and put a timer on. They can't do more than a minute because they just, we got to strengthen them. They should be able to do 10 minutes downward facing dog,
And
So
also got to keep in mind that the way that we communicate with our kids, we're teaching our kids how to communicate.
yes.
So as we talk about these men that we date now that don't follow through on stuff, or they feel like we're controlling because we remind them of how their mom talked to them.
Hello.
We have to keep in mind all of that. So we are raising, like she said, we're not raising children. We're not raising them to be children. We're raising them to be adults. And
Right.
so we're putting all of this stuff in them. And this is what they're going to become as adults. If you are yelling and cussing at your son, he don't yell and cuss at his.
Yes.
Because that's what you taught him. That's how you taught him to communicate.
Yes.
And what people don't realize, we all know when we're raising kids that, you have the formative years. I think that's from 5 to 12 or something.
Oh no, baby, that's from birth to 7.
Birth to 7.
The reticular activating system comes in at 7, and they immediately know right from wrong.
And so then we think that once we know those are the formative years, that we know it's going to affect you the rest of your life. But somehow when we become adults, we feel like our formative years didn't affect us.
Yes, they did.
And they did. Exactly.
Very
But
much.
they have the strongest effect on us. Yeah.
That stuff. But you were absolutely affected by it because those are the formative years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where those beliefs were inserted, whether they serve you or not.
Yep.
That's where that belief comes in that you hang on to and then perpetuate as you go on.
And let me tell you how to interrupt that. Let me tell you how to interrupt that. So if you have a belief that you heard growing up that you are fat, you are ugly, you are stupid, anything like that, you get your phone and you make a recording and you say, I love and approve of myself. You are beautiful. And your voice, and have at least 10 statements, put it on a recorder and let it play on repeat. And do that for 30 days until you rewrite those tapes that you heard. That's the only way to affect your subconscious mind is through repetition and affirmations. You can change your whole DNA structure with affirmations. You do not have to be challenged by your childhood like that.
Or anything else.
Anything else. That's right.
It has been a phenomenal time with you all tonight. We could go on forever. Folks in the chat saying that this was good stuff. This was good stuff from beginning to end. So once again, Rita, will you tell everybody where they can find you and connect with you? We'll have that in the description as well, but share that with us real quick in closing.
Sure. I'm actually on Facebook as Shemsu-t Transformation Life Coach. I also have a personal page, Rita Shemsu-t Stewart. And then my website is masterforceleadershipacademy.com with a hyphen between each one of those. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Shemsu-t.
Okay, beautiful. And Xavia?
I am on Facebook, Xavia Fox. That's XAV as in Victor, IAFOX. Facebook, Xavia Fox.
I think everywhere is Xavia Fox.
Twitter, Xavia Fox. Instagram, Xavia Fox. My website is XavierFox.com. You can Google Xavia Fox and a bunch of stuff will come up, other interviews and shows and all kind of stuff I've done. So Xavia Fox, just type it in anywhere and I should Come on.
Pop up and we'll find you. And just wrapping up tonight, some of the steps for healing, we would say, correct me if I'm wrong as we go along. First, you have to check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do some, it's some inner work, some introspective work.
We call it mirror work.
Mirror work. You have to do some mirror work. Recognize what it is about you that you saw in this other person, and then start working on you. The next thing is to recognize that you are a vibrational being, and that you have control over that. And so that one of the best ways to work on raising your vibration or getting some control over it is first through learning deep breathing. And you can find folks on YouTube who will teach you that. Deep breathing and how to meditate, because there is a technique.
Well, it's just as simple as closing your eyes and being still and quiet.
And being still and quiet until you get to a point where there's not a whole bunch of noise running around in your head.
Yeah, that's why you stay in your breath. You just keep coming back to your breath.
Every time you think a thought that kind of distraction, you have to come back to concentrating on your breathing.
That's
and
right.
So those are at least 3 ways. And then what are some other steps to take towards healing?
Remember we talked about the affirmations?
Okay.
Yeah, and we do a thing where we call it the life quadrant. And it's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So on the mental side, you do your meditation. On the emotional side, you do your affirmations. On the physical side, you do your breathing and you get out in nature. You walk, you move around. Your body is designed to move. So we got to move. And then on the spiritual side, you really spend some time in silence and solitude and actually get to know yourself and nurture yourself and see how sacred you are, and just remember who you are and your mission. You're here for a reason.
So I would like to say, just to get some hands-on stuff that the audience probably want to hear, I want you to keep in mind that you cannot control another person. When you're healing, just understand that other person is on their journey as well. And keep in mind that forgiveness is important, because that person was doing the best that they could from where they were at that particular time in their life. And so you have to let them be on their journey and let them be who they are. You have to let go sometimes. You cannot control. If they don't call at 2:00, if they don't call till 10:00, okay, they call.
Beautiful space. Let yourself be a beautiful space to fall into. That's great.
You have standards, but don't have expectations. You cannot expect something of another person because you cannot control another person. We really have to learn to let go and love and accept people. We push a lot of people away because we want to make them be who we want them to be, but they have to be who they are. I mean, nobody on this call or listening to this call or this show wants somebody to come in and change them and put a whole bunch of guys. I know I don't.
Right.
You're trying to change me. That's just like a no. And you just might as well think of something else to do, because it's not going to happen. And so
that's not happening.
It's not happening. And so what makes you think that a man wants you to come into his, and he a man, he's supposed to be the leader. And you think you're just going to come into his world and say, okay, so now you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that in order for me to be with you.
And when I tell you to, and at that time.
That's right, you sure better. Else I'm going to cut you off at the knees. I'm going to drop you like a hot potato. And I'm going to kick your ass to the curb.
So if I can do all of that in order to be with you, then I just don't want to be with you.
I don't want the stress.
I don't want to be with you because you,
baby. Let me stay away.
Hey, look, listen. I understand having standards versus expectation, but there's got to be some boundaries in there too of certain things that I'm just not going to tolerate. Now you just ain't gonna ignore me too much without me, having to say, oh, maybe this is not for you. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying you're not the best person for me.
Well, that's
because
those are
that's mirror work there, Miss B.
Dang.
That's mirror work.
Put that mirror down, Dr.
No,
Rita.
but no, listen, I'm telling you.
You gonna make me fling my fake hair around.
Miss B, that's mirror work. Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. But I'm not going backwards though. I'm gonna have to start over with somebody new. I'm gonna have to practice on somebody new.
Yeah, but you know what? Remember, we're gonna pull out the cards because we have to look at who you're actually spending time with. You're right. This may not be the right fit. So we have to look at the cards. We have to go to the Oracle system and see who is this person, because maybe they have something they're trying to teach you and you're resisting because you have standards and boundaries. Whatever.
And that's my last point too. We also have to keep in mind that the universe sends us lessons continually.
Hello.
So people are put in your life because you need to learn the lesson.
That's right.
If you don't learn the lesson, guess what?
They're coming back.
Lesson.
Come back. So you need to go ahead and do that mirror work and see what it is in these people you are attracting that's reflecting you. And so you can work on that so you can start attracting at least a whole different lesson, at least get a different lesson.
At least a different lesson. Because you might get the same person with a different name.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hello. I can't stand this mirror.
Been there, done that. I mean, I was like, woo, baby, this is all you.
I done been there.
Yeah.
One lesson is good enough.
But
That's right.
that mirror
Let me get all of it
One
right
good
now.
tough lesson was enough. Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you, ladies. You have been an absolute joy and have raised our vibration tremendously. Girlfriend Peggy, did you have any final words?
No, I'm just so enlightened and happy, and the information was invaluable. And I'm excited that they were here with us to share with the audience. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of viewings on this show that's gonna be trying to reach out to you ladies as well.
Oh, thank you. And thank you
Yes.
for having us. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah.
And thank you, Xavia, for introducing me to your friends.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It was absolutely wonderful. And we're going to have to, we're going to be working on our healing for sure. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yes. Shalonda is giving you
That's my BFF.
oh, okay. Hey, BFF. She's giving you a wonderful round of applause.
She's also a coach. She's also a certified life coach too.
Okay, as well you deserve. You absolutely deserve that. So we thank you, ladies, and we thank the universe for you. Go forth and breathe and vibrate.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Oh yes, all right. Go on, get it done. we'll get it up there. Have a wonderful, wonderful time until we cross paths again. Okay.
Thank you.
For Raw Talk and Girlfriend Peggy, I'm yours truly, me, Miss B. Love you, baby.
Oh, hey, girl.